I promise to pay when I grow up. The billionaire CEO never expected to hear that in a store. Before we begin, comment below and tell us, where are you watching from? And when it's over, be sure to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story. I promise to pay when I grow up. The store fell silent after the words left her mouth. 8 years old, holding a baby wrapped in a towel. No shoes, no coat. Just a voice too brave for its size, and standing just 3 aisles away. The billionaire CEO, who hadn't felt anything real in years, suddenly couldn't breathe. That girl didn't ask for money. She asked for milk. And what he did next changed every single life in that store, including his. The man who stayed invisible. Jerome Carter didn't believe in fate. He believed in performance metrics, investor calls, and keeping his name off the front page. That's why Forbes had dubbed him the Invisible Billionaire, and he liked it that way. No scandals, no mess, no emotion, just spreadsheets and skyscrapers. Until the morning, a little girl promised to pay him back for a gallon of milk. It was a Wednesday, cold enough that the glass doors of the local market fogged when people walked through. Jerome was buying coffee filters and toothpaste. His driver waited outside. His assistant had triple-checked his itinerary. He was 5 steps from checkout when he heard it. I promise to pay when I grow up. At first, he thought he misheard, but then he turned and saw her. She couldn't have been older than 8. Hair tangled in uneven puffs, a sweatshirt 2 sizes too big, and in her arms was a baby. Wrapped in a fraying towel, she stood by the formula shelf, like a soldier who knew she'd already lost the war. The cashier didn't hesitate. Hey, this isn't a daycare. Get out! The girl flinched, but didn't argue. She turned slowly, shoulders shaking, but not from fear, from humiliation. That's when Jerome stepped forward. She's not stealing, he said, his voice low and calm. The cashier stammered, blinking, Mr. Carter, sir, she doesn't belong here. I'll be the judge of that. And suddenly, the store wasn't quiet because of the child. It was quiet because people recognized him. A woman near the magazines whispered, "That's the girl from under the bridge on 7th Street. A man near the freezer said, "Her dad's in prison. Her mom's not right in the head." Jerome crouched beside the girl. "What's your name?" he asked. "Anna," she whispered. "This is Elijah. He's 1. She didn't make eye contact. He softened his voice. "You walked here, in this cold." Anna nodded. "We ran out of milk. I waited till Mama fell asleep to sneak out. Sometimes she screams when she's awake. I didn't want her to follow me." Jerome looked at the baby, his cheeks red, lips dry, a faint whimper in his chest. "Do you have a coat?" he asked. I wrapped Elijah in the warm blanket. It's all we had. And in that moment, the billionaire who once negotiated billion-dollar mergers couldn't do a single calculation that made sense. Because what do you do when a child walks into your life with more courage than any adult you've ever met? They didn't know it yet, but that moment wasn't just the beginning of a miracle. It was the beginning of a family, one made not by blood, but by choice. And as Jerome stood up and said, "We're buying more than milk today," Anna reached out, placed the gallon of milk on the counter with 2 trembling hands. "Thank you, sir," she said, "but I really will pay you back when I grow up. I mean it." Chapter 1. Milk and Miracles. Jerome didn't know why he said it. Stay close to me. He wasn't impulsive. That wasn't how he built an empire. But there was something about her, this little girl with scraped knees, chapped lips, and a trembling voice that cracked through the shell he'd spent 10 years building. They walked together down the aisle. He grabbed milk, formula, soup, wipes, diapers, the essentials. No hesitation, no math. Customers stared. Some whispered. One man pulled out a phone, but Anna stayed quiet. Her eyes never wandered far from her brother. At checkout, She reached up on tiptoe, placing the gallon of milk on the conveyor belt like it was gold. I really will pay you back someday, she whispered. Jerome bent to her level. I believe you. Outside, the air hit colder than before. Anna blinked hard, maybe to stop the tears, maybe to see through the morning fog. Jerome opened the back door of the car. Where are you staying? He asked, gently. She hesitated, chewing her bottom lip, then pointed behind her, under the bridge, on 7th and Douglas. Behind the pipe. It's dry there. Mostly. Jerome's breath caught. She didn't say it like it was something to be ashamed of. She said it like someone describing the weather, like someone who had learned not to expect anything more. As they walked, Jerome unbuttoned his wool coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. She looked up at him like he had handed her a crown. Mama says rich people don't get cold, she murmured. Your mama's wrong. Jerome said, everyone gets cold. The closer they got to the overpass, the heavier the air felt. Cars thundered above, water dripped from rusted beams, and the scent of oil, damp concrete, and wet trash settled around them. Behind a plastic tarp and some rusted shopping carts, a woman stirred. Jerome stopped a few feet back. Anna stepped forward carefully, her voice small. Mama, it's just me. And a man, he helped us. The woman sat up fast, eyes wild, hair tangled, shoulders hunched. She wasn't old, but she looked like she'd lived 3 lives, and none of them easy. You weren't supposed to leave, the woman slurred. Anna handed over Elijah gently. He was crying. I just wanted to get milk. The woman didn't respond. Jerome cleared his throat. Quietly, she wasn't stealing. She asked. The woman. Sarah glared at him, unsure whether to be grateful or angry. You can go now, she said to Jerome. We're fine. Anna turned to him, her voice softer than he expected. Thank you. I just needed the milk. But Jerome didn't move. He looked at this little girl, at the baby, now sucking on his fingers, content, for the first time in who knows how long. He thought about his office, the conference calls, the spreadsheets, and none of it meant anything compared to this. Anna, he said carefully, I want to come back tomorrow. Is that all right? She looked up, puzzled. Why? He hesitated, then gave the truest answer he had. Because someone should. That night, Jerome didn't sleep. Somewhere under the roar of the freeway, a little girl was humming softly to a baby wrapped in a billionaire's coat. And in his glass penthouse, a man who once owned everything realized the richest thing he could ever be was needed. We meet a man who has built walls so high no one's touched his heart in a decade, and a little girl who's never had anyone stay. But milk became the beginning of something neither of them expected. Not charity, not pity, but a miracle in motion. He promised he'd come back, but when he returned the next morning, they were gone. Chapter 2. When the world falls apart. Jerome stepped out of the car before it had fully stopped. The tarp was gone. So were the shopping carts. No signs of life. Not even a footprint in the slush. They're not here. Sir, his driver said from the window. You want me to call someone? But Jerome just stood still. He didn't know what he expected. He just knew. He felt something he hadn't felt in years. Worry. That afternoon, he canceled a meeting with his board, pushed back a merger, skipped dinner. Instead, he returned with warm blankets, a thermos of soup, and a bag full of baby supplies. But the space was still empty. By day 3, he called in someone from his past. Mike Sandler, retired LAPD. Private now, said the man over the phone. You finally lost your mind. Jerome. No. Jerome replied, I might have just found my heart. Mike met him the next morning with a folder under his arm. Found a Jane Doe hospital file. Woman, late 30s, admitted yesterday. No ID, no insurance. Possible psych hold. Where? County. Said she had a kid with her. Jerome's chest tightened. setting shifts, county hospital, cold white walls, overworked nurses, kids crying in the hallway. He found her in room 408. Sarah sat cross-legged on the edge of the bed, staring at a spot on the wall. Like it owed her answers, Anna sat beside her, clutching a coloring book someone must have given her. She looked up, her face lit up like dawn breaking through a storm. "You came back." Jerome's voice caught. "I said I would." Sarah didn't speak for a long time. Finally, she whispered, "I left because people like you don't stick around." Didn't want Anna to get her hopes up. "People like me?" Jerome asked gently. "Rich, safe, clean, the kind who look at people like me and walk faster." Jerome didn't argue, because she wasn't wrong, but he also wasn't leaving. "I don't want pity," Sarah said, her voice sharper now. "I'm not offering it." "Then what do you want?" He looked at Anna, then at Sarah. "To help, that's all." She narrowed her eyes. "Help looks a lot like control when you've never had a choice." Jerome sat down slowly in the corner chair, not as a CEO, not as a rescuer, but as a man who finally saw something worth staying for. Then you decide what happens next. That night, Anna slept curled up in the chair next to him, Elijah on her chest. Sarah stared out the window for hours, and just before dawn, she whispered, "No one's ever stayed." Flashback beat Sarah's memory. Rain falling on the roof of a car, a child locked inside, a mother outside screaming, blue lights, cold hands, a system that gave her no second chances. They said I was unfit, but they never asked what happened to me before the breakdown. "What did happen?" Jerome asked, softly. Sarah didn't answer, but she didn't walk away either. Sometimes, the world doesn't fall apart all at once. It cracks in small places until one day you realize there's nothing left holding it up. But for the first time in years, Sarah let someone sit in the wreckage with her. And for Jerome, a man who lived above the clouds, this broken down hospital room felt more real than any boardroom he'd ever entered. The hospital was discharging them. No ID, no money, no home. So Jerome made a decision that would change everything. He took them in. Chapter 3. A dragon in her pocket. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Jerome had rules. No one came home with him. Not friends, not women, not even his siblings on holidays. But as Anna stepped into the penthouse, eyes wide, holding her baby brother and dragging a tattered blanket behind her, the rules collapsed like glass. "It smells like clouds in here," she said quietly. "That's just filtered air." "No, clouds, like the kind in dreams." Jerome didn't know what to say to that, but he watched her walk through the space like a girl in a museum. No fingerprints, no crayons, no warmth. Until now, Sarah stood just inside the doorway, frozen. "We'll find somewhere else tomorrow," she said, arms folded across her chest. "You don't have to." Jerome replied, "You don't know us." "I know enough." She shook her head, lips trembling. "I'm not some charity project. You don't need to save me." "I'm not trying to save you," Jerome said. "I'm trying to give your daughter a safe place to sleep." That was the first time Sarah didn't argue. She just nodded once and sat down slowly on the leather couch. Later that night, Jerome watched from the hallway. Anna had made a little nest on the carpet, the blanket bundled around Elijah, and beside her, tucked under her arm, was a small, green, worn-out stuffed animal, a dragon. Its wings were frayed, one eye missing. "What's his name?" Jerome asked from the doorway. "Pickles." "Pickles the dragon." Anna smiled for the first time. "He's brave. He sleeps next to me when the world is loud." Jerome sat beside her on the floor. "Does he help?" "Sometimes, but only if I squeeze him tight." That night, he couldn't sleep, not because of work, not because of noise, but because for the first time in years, his home wasn't silent. There was laughter in the next room, and a whisper-soft voice reading aloud from a picture book Sarah had found in the guest closet. Pickles flew into the storm. Anna read aloud, "Because someone small needed him." Jerome closed his eyes and let the sound fill the space. Flashback beat Jerome's memory. A hospital hallway, a flat line beep, a brother's hand going still. You don't get to choose what you lose. The doctor had said, only what you do after. Jerome had chosen silence, solitude, wealth. But now, he was wondering if he had made the wrong choice. In the morning, Anna woke first. Jerome found her, standing by the window, in her mismatched socks. The dragon held against her chest. "This place feels high up." "It is," he said. 46 floors. You can see everything. Almost everything. She turned, eyes too wise for her age. "But you don't see people. Do you?" He didn't answer. She didn't need him to. Sometimes, the smallest person walks into your life with a stuffed dragon and teaches you everything you've forgotten about courage, about listening, about not needing to fix someone. Just sit beside them in the storm. By morning, Anna was drawing pictures of dragons and houses with hearts on the roof, and for the first time in years, Jerome was late for work. But when he came back that evening, the apartment was empty. Chapter 4. The Language. She spoke alone. Jerome set down his keys and immediately felt it. The air was too still. The blanket on the couch untouched. No baby coos. No whispers. No scent of peanut butter crackers. Anna. No answer. He checked the guest room. Empty. The nursery. He'd had a decorator rush together that morning, still pristine. Untouched. They were gone. Panic wasn't something Jerome Carter was used to. He was known for keeping his cool during market crashes, hostile takeovers, and government investigations. But in this moment, he couldn't breathe. He called Mike. "They're gone. The girl and the baby and the mother." No note, nothing. "Stay put. I'll check ERs and shelters." "I'm not staying put." Setting shift. Downtown L.A. Gritty streets, flashing neon signs. Winter wind cutting through expensive coats. Jerome drove. Block after block. Through Skid Row. Behind the Mission. By the overpass where he first met them. He walked, searching each alley, like a man trying to find a missing piece of his soul. Then he heard it. Not crying, singing, soft, off-key, familiar. He followed the sound down a narrow alley beside an abandoned diner. There, curled in a corner, with a candle flickering beside them, was Anna. Elijah lay against Sarah's chest, asleep. Anna looked up. Her eyes were red but dry. She didn't look surprised to see him. "You came back again." Jerome crouched beside her. "Why did you leave?" "Mama thought we were being too much. That you'd change your mind." "They always do." "I didn't." Anna nodded. "Pickles said you might not." She held out the stuffed dragon as if it were proof. Sarah opened her eyes. She was pale, exhausted. "I panicked." She whispered, "I saw that nursery, that soft bed. I didn't know what to do with it. It felt like a trap. Like, before, that would never last." Jerome didn't respond with logic. He just sat down on the cold pavement beside them. "It's not a trap," he said quietly. "It's a beginning, but only if you want it." Sarah stared at him for a long time. "Why are you doing this?" "Because I don't know how to not care anymore." Back at the penthouse, Anna whispered something that stopped Jerome mid-step. "Do you speak dragon?" He blinked. "Excuse me." She held up Pickles and whispered in a made-up string of sounds. "He wanted me to ask. I think I understand it a little." Jerome said, playing along. "What did he say?" "He said, you might be sad too, that maybe you lost someone." Jerome froze. She said it so simply, so without force, but it knocked the wind out of him. "Yeah," he said, eyes softening. "I did." "Me too," she replied. "My real dad died." Mama doesn't talk about it, but I think it still lives in her sometimes. He swallowed the ache in his throat. This child, this tiny, fragile girl spoke a language most adults couldn't name. The language of absence, the language of before, the language of the quiet pain people carry when words won't do. That's why Pickles listens, Anna said, because sometimes words break things, but dragons don't. That night, as they all settled into the warmth of the apartment again, Jerome stood by the door, just watching, Sarah finally asleep. Elijah curled like a comma against her side, Anna humming to her dragon, not afraid. And for the first time in 10 years, Jerome didn't feel like a guest in his own life. He felt like someone who belonged. Some people scream their grief, others bury it in silence. But the rarest kind speak it in stories, drawings, and dragon whispers. And if you listen closely, you'll hear the kind of truth that never makes the news, but changes lives anyway. The next morning, Jerome made 3 calls, one to his assistant, one to his decorator, and one to a judge. Because if they were going to stay, he'd have to protect them first. Chapter 5. When a child speaks the truth. Jerome made 3 phone calls that morning, one to his assistant, canceling meetings for the week, one to his decorator, asking for real furniture, not the kind that looked good in magazines, and one to an old friend in the court system. She's vulnerable. No ID, no income, no protection. Jerome said, "You're talking about guardianship." The judge replied, "Or adoption." Jerome rubbed his eyes. "No, I'm talking about safety, options, a place to breathe without fear, and you're prepared for the cost of that." She's already paid more than any child should. Later that day, a social worker came to the apartment. Anna answered the door herself, barefoot, holding Elijah on her hip and Pickles in the crook of her arm. The woman smiled, kneeling down to eye level. "Hi there, I'm Ms. Delgado. I came to talk to your mom." Anna didn't move, just looked straight at her. "Are you going to take us, Miss?" Delgado paused. "I'm here to listen." Anna glanced over her shoulder at Jerome, who gave her a small nod. She stepped back. In the living room, Sarah sat stiffly on the edge of the couch. Her hands trembled in her lap. She had braided her hair for the first time in weeks. Jerome noticed. "Ms. Walker," the social worker began. "Can you tell me why you left the hospital against medical advice?" Sarah's voice barely held. "Because I don't trust systems. I've been through them, and they don't catch people like me. They catalog us, stamp us, then drop us." "What about this man, Ms.?" Delgado asked. Motioning to Jerome, Sarah looked up. "He doesn't want to fix me. He just sees me. Do you feel safe here?" For the first time. "Yes," the social worker nodded. "And your daughter?" At that, Anna stepped forward, quiet, barefoot, and holding her dragon. "Can I say something?" she asked. "Mr. Delgado smiled. "Of course." Anna looked down, gathering courage. "When we lived under the bridge, Mama cried at night. She thought I didn't hear her, but I did." A pause, deep breath. "She said I deserved more, that she was sorry I didn't get to be little. And I think she forgot that being brave doesn't mean not crying. It means doing the hard thing, even when you're scared." She stepped closer to her mother. "Mama does the hard thing every day." Silence. Then Sarah wept, openly, without shame. And Jerome, he had to turn his face away. Because when a child speaks the truth, it levels a room. That night, Jerome took them to a quiet park in Pasadena, one he used to visit with his brother. Anna ran in circles with Elijah in tow. Sarah sat on a bench, soaking in the moment like sunlight. Jerome sat beside her. "You raised a remarkable girl." Sarah chuckled weakly. "She raised me too." They sat in silence. Then Sarah turned. "Why are you really doing this?" "Because I lost someone once, And I didn't do enough? And you think helping us will fix that? No, I think helping you will matter. His younger brother in a hospital bed. A missed text. A silence that lasted too long. A goodbye that never came. That evening, Anna handed Jerome a folded piece of paper. A drawing. Him, Sarah, Anna, Elijah, and Pickles above it in crayon. Our family for now, or maybe forever. He looked at her. What does for now or maybe forever mean? Anna shrugged. That's up to you. Children don't speak in polished sentences. They speak in truths that bypass pride, that don't care for permission. And sometimes, in the smallest voice, you'll hear the thing your soul needed most. The next morning, a man in a gray hoodie appeared outside the building. Sarah saw him through the glass, and the blood drained from her face. It's Darnell, she whispered. Chapter 6, The Fall of Morrison. It's him, she whispered. It's Darnell. Jerome didn't need to ask how she knew. There's a way survivors know, not by face. By presence, a slammed door, hands on her wrist. A whisper, you'll never belong to anyone but me. Jerome moved fast. He called Mike. He activated private security, had the building's front desk show him the security feed. There he was, Darnell Morrison. Released 4 months ago. 3 priors, 1 domestic, 2 sealed cases. Jerome's voice lowered to a tone even his assistants had never heard. I want him gone. Legally, permanently. And I don't want her in the room when you make it happen. Setting shift, Sarah. In the safe room, Jerome built years ago during an executive threat. Soundproof, warm. Jerome sits beside her, softer now. You don't need to relive it for us to protect you, he says. He doesn't want Elijah. Sarah murmurs, he just wants control. He doesn't care if I bleed. He won't get near you again. That's a promise. Meanwhile, Mike meets Darnell in the lobby. You can't arrest me, Darnell says. I'm just standing on a public sidewalk. That's right, Mike replies. But if you step 1 inch inside, you'll wish you were behind bars. Mike hands him a restraining order, signed by the judge. Jerome, called 2 days earlier. Get lost, Morrison, or I'll call the news and tell them who you really are. Later that day, Sarah finds Anna curled up in Jerome's study. She's silent, Pickles in her lap. Are we going to lose him too? She asks. Sarah kneels beside her. Lose who, mister? Jerome. He fixes things. But what if we break? Sarah's eyes fill. You're not broken. Baby, you're brave. And brave people build things, not just survive them. Anna rests her head on her mom's shoulder. Can we stay? Like, really stay. That night, Jerome sits alone on the balcony. City lights flicker below. He holds the drawing Anna gave him. Our family for now, or maybe forever. And for the first time in his life, he hopes for forever. Sarah walks out, wraps a blanket around his shoulders. She doesn't say anything, but she sits beside him. And that says everything. Abusers don't always fall in courtrooms. Sometimes they fall in quiet defiance, in families rebuilt, in doors locked, in voices that no longer tremble when they say, you don't own me. And when you're truly free, you don't shout it, you live it. The court date was set. Sarah would have to speak, and Anna, she had a letter of her own to read. What neither of them expected was who showed up in the back row. Chapter 7. Her sister's face. The courtroom was half empty, but Sarah's heart felt like it had been cracked wide open. Not because of what Darnell might say, but because she would have to remember out loud. You ready? Jerome asked softly. She nodded. No, but I'm going anyway. Anna looked up. Mama. Yeah, baby. If you cry, I'll cry too. Then we'll cry together. The judge called her name. Sarah stood. The courtroom didn't disappear like she hoped. The wooden benches, the fluorescent lights, the quiet coughs of strangers. Tell the court why you're seeking a permanent restraining order. The judge said. Sarah cleared her throat. Because I want my daughter to grow up without fear. Her voice trembled, but she did not fall. Because he used to tell me I was nothing, and I started believing it. Because every time he slammed a door or raised a hand, I thought maybe it was my fault. She glanced toward Anna, but she reminded me what love should look like. Quiet, brave, without bruises, and I'm done being afraid. Then the door opened, and a woman stepped in. Long braids, dark eyes, an old scar above her left brow. Sarah's breath caught. Tamika, her sister. They hadn't spoken in nearly 9 years. A screaming match in their childhood kitchen. Tamika holding baby Anna. Sarah yelling, "Don't tell me how to raise my daughter." Tamika handing her back with tears in her eyes. "I'm trying to save you." Sarah, "You just won't let me." Back in the courtroom, Tamika sat in the very back row, hands folded, no words. But her presence said everything. Sarah stepped down from the stand, barely holding it together. During the recess, Sarah found Tamika by the vending machines. Silence stretched between them like a wire. Then Tamika said, "I followed the story, saw the article in the Tribune. Billionaire CEO takes in homeless family. I knew it was you. I didn't think you'd come." Sarah whispered, "I thought maybe it was time." "For what?" "For not giving up on you." Anna peeked around the corner. "Mama, is that her?" Sarah nodded. "Your Aunt Tamika." Anna stepped forward, slowly, then wrapped her arms around Tamika's waist like they'd always belonged. Tamika blinked back tears. "You've grown so big." "I'm brave now," Anna said. "We all are." Tamika joined them for dinner. Jerome cooked. Sarah laughed a real, full laugh for the first time since chapter 1. They played board games. Anna showed Tamika her room, her books, her dragons. And just before bed, she handed her a drawing. 4 people, a baby, a dragon, a house with the words, "The family we grew back." Sometimes family is broken by pride, not hate. Sometimes the thing we need most is the one person who stayed away because they loved us too hard. And when they return, it doesn't fix everything, but it starts to. The story was going public. A reporter wanted to cover it, but only if Anna would speak. Jerome said no, but Anna, she said yes. "I have something to say, and maybe the world needs to hear it." Chapter 8. The Deal of the Heart. Jerome's jaw tightened. His private life, once sterile and guarded, was now a headline. And worse, it had Anna's face. Blurred, but recognizable. "I didn't authorize this," he muttered. Sarah looked up from the coffee machine. "You okay?" He handed her the paper. She read the first line, then the second. Her hand began to shake. They printed it. "It's out, and it's spreading. What do we do?" Before Jerome could answer, Anna walked over. "Barefoot. Why is my face on the paper?" Jerome kneeled down, eye level. "Someone told your story without asking. That wasn't right." Anna looked at him for a long moment. "Can I tell it right?" Setting shift. Inside a news studio, small, clean, softly lit. Jerome sits in the green room, watching Anna through the glass. She's perched on a high stool. Pickles sits in her lap. Sarah holds her hand, just off camera. The reporter adjusts her mic. "Are you ready, sweetheart?" "Yes, ma'am." The camera rolls. Anna looks straight ahead. Voice steady. "My name is Anna. I'm 8. My favorite color is purple. I love peanut butter. Dragons! And my baby brother." A small laugh in the room. "I used to live under a bridge. Now I live in the sky." But that's not the important part. The important part is what happened in between. She reaches down and hugs Pickles. "Someone saw us, and they didn't walk away. He didn't just give us food or money. He gave us something harder to find. He gave us time and home." Backstage, Sarah's hand goes to her mouth. She's weeping. Jerome watches the monitor like it's the most important board meeting of his life. "I think being rich isn't just money. It's when you have enough love to give some away. And if people think Mr. Jerome is a hero, maybe they're right. But he's also just a person, like Mama, like me, like you. Sometimes people just need someone to stay. The video goes viral, 23 million views in 3 days. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's true. A CEO, a homeless girl, and a story that reminded the world what humanity looks like. Setting shift. Jerome's office boardroom. The same executives who once feared his silence now praise his strategic empathy. You've become the face of compassionate capitalism, one says. Jerome looks out the window, down at the city. If that's what it takes to change things, then good. He turns to them. I'm creating a new division, the Anna Fund. We're going to sponsor transitional housing, childcare, and trauma therapy, starting in the city I overlooked for too long. They exchange glances, shocked, impressed. Is this a PR move? Carter, no. Jerome says, this is the first real deal I've made in years. That night, he returns home with a giant paper bag. Inside, cupcakes, crayons, and a small stuffed dragon brand new, green with purple wings. Pickles too. Furry. Jerome says. Anna squeals. Now he has a brother, like Elijah has me. Jerome replies, surprising himself. Not all deals are signed in boardrooms. Some are sealed in bedtime stories, in TV interviews whispered from tiny voices, in the choice to use power not to impress, but to protect. Because in the end, the best kind of wealth isn't measured in billions. It's measured in who you show up for. Later that night, Jerome opened an old drawer. Inside, letters, unsent, yellowed with time. One was addressed to someone he never stopped missing. To my brother, I think I finally understand what you meant. Chapter 9, Letters I Never Sent. Jerome ran his thumb over the top envelope. The handwriting was his, neat, controlled, everything he wished his heart had been. To Marcus, January 3rd, the year after you left. He took a breath, opened it. You once told me there are two kinds of men in the world. Marcus, builders and runners. You said you'd keep building, even if no one ever saw it. I didn't understand you then. I thought success meant power, isolation, proof you didn't need anyone. But now I see. You were right. What's the point of a tower if no one's inside it with you? It's been 4 years. I saw a little girl today. She was buying milk with no money. Said she'd pay me back when she grew up. I think she might have saved me. Jerome sat at the desk, tears forming at the corner of his eyes. Sarah appeared at the door, silently. I didn't mean to intrude, she said gently. I was getting water. You're not intruding. She walked over, slowly, saw the letters, the grief in his eyes. Was he your brother? Jerome nodded. Marcus. He died 10 years ago. Cancer. I was too busy to notice how fast it was happening. You wrote him letters. I never mailed them. Why not? Because I didn't know how to say sorry. Not really. She sat across from him, quiet. Do you want to read one out loud? He hesitated, then did. Marcus, I finally understand what you meant by being rich in spirit. Ibra. Her name is Anna. She speaks in colors and dragons. And Sarah, she's got fire in her bones. You'd have liked them. I think I'm becoming the kind of man who would have earned your friendship. Sarah reached across the table, placed her hand over his. No words, just presence. And that said more than any letter ever could. Later that night, Jerome walked into Anna's room. She stirred. Mr. Jerome. Yeah, sweetheart. Just checking on you. Are you sad? A little. Pickles said, you're doing the brave thing, the talking thing. He's right. Tomorrow, I can draw you and your brother. Would that help? It might. She smiled. Then I will. Final beat. Jerome folds all 5 letters into a new envelope, labels it. To Marcus. Thank you for waiting on me. He lights a candle, sets the envelope in a small fire-safe tray, watches it burn slowly, not in mourning, but in release, chapter reflection. Sometimes, healing doesn't come in waves. It comes in whispers, in the sound of a child breathing peacefully down the hall, in the stillness of someone sitting across from you, unafraid of your pain. And the letters we never send, they still speak. The adoption hearing was scheduled. Anna asked to say something, but no one expected what she pulled from her backpack that day. A letter of her own, Chapter 10. The Girl Who Changed the World. Family Court, downtown Los Angeles. A softly lit courtroom, minimal noise. Anna sits between Jerome and Sarah. She's wearing her favorite purple sweater. Elijah sleeps quietly in Sarah's arms. Pickles. The dragon peeks out from Anna's backpack. In the back row, Tamika and Jerome's assistant, and Mike, and even the judge from Chapter 6. This time, they're not there for defense, they're there for forever. The hearing begins with the judge reviewing paperwork. This petition is for the adoption of Anna Walker and Elijah Walker by Mr. Jerome Carter, with co-guardianship by Miss Sarah Walker. Anna's legs swing nervously beneath the chair. Then she raises her hand. Your Honor, can I say something? A pause. The judge smiles. Of course. Anna unzips her backpack, pulling out a folded sheet of paper, not wrinkled, protected. She stands, walks slowly to the front. She clears her throat, then reads, Dear Judge, my name is Anna. I am 8 years old. I used to be scared of everything of the dark, of men yelling, of being forgotten. But then I met Mr. Jerome. He didn't save me with money. He saved me by listening. He didn't talk down to me. He sat next to me. Even when I was sad, my mama is strong. She carried me when I was tired. And now, I want to carry her too. I think families are not about who's in your belly. They're about who stays when it's hard. So I want this to be my family. I want Mr. Jerome to be my forever. And I want to keep Pickles. And I want to keep being brave. Love, Anna. The courtroom was silent. The judge blinked hard. Jerome's hand trembled on his knee. Sarah wept openly. I believe. The judge said slowly, This may be the clearest testimony I've ever heard in 30 years. Adoption approved. Congratulations. To the Carter Walker family. Outside the courthouse, a breeze lifts the California sunshine. Anna runs through the courtyard, holding both Elijah and Pickles like royalty. Jerome and Sarah walk behind her, not quite holding hands, but close. Tamika snaps a photo with trembling fingers. Jerome whispers, Do you think I'm ready to be a father? Sarah smiles. You already are. Flash forward, 6 months later. A new building is unveiled. The Anna Grace Foundation Housing, Healing, Hope. Anna cuts the ribbon with oversized scissors. Reporters swarm. She just smiles. I'm still little, she says into the microphone, but even little people can do big love. I used to believe in deals, in numbers, in control. Now, I believe in bedtime stories and scraped knees and forgiveness. She didn't just change my world. She showed me how to live in it. Anna asleep in her bed, Pickles under one arm, Elijah in a crib across the room. Jerome turns off the light. Sarah whispers at the doorway. It's a good life now. Jerome nods. It's ours. The world didn't change because a billionaire gave away his money. It changed because a girl gave away her heart without fear, without apology. And in doing so, she reminded everyone around her, true power is kindness, true wealth is presence, and true love is staying. Before this story ends, one more letter waits, a bedtime story for the world, written by the girl who never stopped believing. Milk and miracles could be enough. The quiet after the storm. The world didn't end with thunder. It ended with a whisper. A little girl asking for milk. A billionaire who had everything except peace, a mother who carried more than anyone could see, and it began again, with a dragon, with a second chance, with love that didn't scream, it stayed. Some stories are told in headlines. This one, it was written in lunchboxes and lullabies, in family courtrooms and journal entries no one was supposed to read, in the look between two people who lost everything and found each other. So maybe this wasn't just about adoption papers. Maybe it was about becoming a man becoming a father, a woman becoming whole, a child becoming heard. And in the end, it wasn't Jerome Carter's money that saved them. It was his willingness to be seen, to open his doors, to listen to bedtime stories, to trade his empire for a seat at the kitchen table. And Anna, she's not just the girl who asked for milk. She's the girl who made the world feel again. Pickles rests on a bookshelf beside a framed photo. Sarah, Jerome, Elijah, and Anna, holding a cardboard sign that once read, "I promise to pay when I grow up." Only now, it's crossed out, and underneath it, in glitter pen, "Paid in full with love." Before you go, tell us what are your thoughts on this story. Leave a comment and rate it from 0 to 10. We read every word you write, and if you've ever believed in second chances, if you've ever been changed by a stranger's kindness, share this story with someone who needs a little more hope today. And don't miss out. Click here to watch more now. Tap the bell and subscribe to catch all our latest life stories and bedtime stories, because sometimes the softest voices tell the loudest truths.